Sunday night, and it's episode 5 of the Bad Poker podcast. Joining me this week is Dominic Clevenson.
Hello!
And our special guest this week, Poker Raffles and APAT's Leigh Wiltshire.
Good evening to you both. How you doing?
Very good. And we have to kick things off with the competition that we launched this weekend. We've got £100 of site credit, kindly donated by Leigh and the team at Poker Raffles. So all you need to do is like and subscribe to the YouTube page, and also follow on the Facebook group, and that gets you into the draw. And the first prize will be £50 of site credit. So Leigh, what raffles are coming up which our listeners could enter?
Oh, loads, to be honest. I mean, we picked a good time to give some of your subscribers a little bit of cash and a chance at some raffles. We've got obviously the Hendon Mob Championship. A lot going on in London. Actually, the next couple of months is really London heavy. So there's a Hendon Mob Championship at Genting, which has got 150,000 guarantee for a £280 buy-in, which is absolutely a quality one there. They'll probably still be able to get in with a chance of the WSOP circuit draw, which is happening at dusk till dawn. I mean, that's a £1 million guarantee in the main event. Plus, I don't know whether you guys have seen, but a whole load of side events there around the kind of £300 buy-in. So really good stuff to get, and they're all WSOP ring events as well, which obviously for in the UK you don't get a huge chance to do those. Got a bunch of APAT stuff on there as well, and we've also got the Party Poker tour. They finally announced the biggest secret in poker, where the leg 5 was going to be, and it's back in London of all places. Interesting one. The weekend before Christmas, so the week leading up to and the weekend before Christmas, they've got again. They smashed their. Well, I saw you both up in Birmingham, and they smashed their guarantees up there for their mini and their main. So they put those on as well. So again, another superb one to do. So absolutely stacked. But we've always, Chris, got stuff on the site. So to be honest, the great thing with our site credit, whoever the lucky winners will be, I think we got one big winner and then five of the smaller winners. Is it sits on your account, doesn't expire. So to be honest, if you want to hang fire, last year we did a WSOP Vegas main event package, so worth sort of £12,000. We had 15,000 tickets. So that's £1 a ticket. So loads of chances. We'll be doing one. It's no big secret. We'll be doing one of those again next year. So if whoever wins, they want to hang fire and have a shot at that. The lady that won that last year, she bought 20 tickets.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. Just like for people that haven't been to the site, don't know how it works, can you just explain a little bit? Is it just as simple as a raffle? You just buy their ticket and they're in a draw?
Yeah, it is as simple as that, Dom, to be honest. It's anything you've seen. There's a lot of competition sites out there doing lots of different things. I suppose it goes back to a lot of people that will do a lot of traveling will have seen the cars in airports. That's always my kind of best example. Although these days you've got the likes of Amaze that are giving away houses. But it's all pretty much the same principle. You buy a ticket, you're entered in a draw, and then we do a draw. The way we work is obviously we wanted to set something up that was very poker specific, and to give people a chance to play poker events for a fraction of the buy-in, whether you might not have the chance or time to want to satellite in. You know how life gets in the way, and we've all been around the poker industry for a while to know that satelliting isn't always perfect. Some good value to be had in it, but it's not always perfect. So you can just go on the website, buy a ticket. You can either pick a lucky dip and it'll randomly pick you a number, or if you've got a number that you like to choose, then you can do that. We're slightly different to some of the other sites in that everything's £1 a ticket, so we don't mess about with odds and sods numbers that make it difficult to work out probabilities of this, that, the other, and all that kind of nonsense. For example, our APAT weekly draws are £140 seats, and there's 180 tickets. There you go.
Yeah.
Very simple to work it out. We don't make it complicated. Occasionally we'll do double prizes or triple prizes and have more than one winner. But yeah, it's always just kept really simple. So you can just go on the website. You basically choose your numbers, you pay your money, and then you'll get an email back to confirm your tickets. And then on a Monday night at 9 o'clock, we'll do a live stream draw, and for 5-10 minutes you can watch the fun as we pick some winners and send some people off. I mean, great story we've just had as we're recording this now. The Malta Poker Festival is going on, and one of our winners, we had about 7 or 8 that got to play the main event out there. And Gaz Howard has just cashed for just over €5,000, finished 17th in the main event. No spoilers for anyone that maybe was going to watch some sort of update on it. But how cool is that?
For a £1 ticket.
So £1 ticket. We did a triple draw, and he won first prize in that. So he won 2 main event seats plus £1,000 in cash. So that's pretty much your Malta trip covered. Yeah. He's gone out there. He's actually only used 1 bullet, and got through. Ended up 17th, and is coming back with just over €5,000 in his pocket. So, nice. I wouldn't imagine the trip's cost him very much. He's just had a new baby recently as well. So him and his partner. So yeah, superb timing for them. But they're the kind of stories. They're the kind of reason why we set this up in the first place. To give people a chance, to go and live a bit of a dream. As I say, we've got somebody going out, won the Vegas main event, couldn't go out this summer because it's got a bit more tricky to get into the US these days, unfortunately, depending on where else you may have holidayed in recent years. So she's currently getting that sorted at the embassy to be able to go out next year. But and we said, well, we can give you, if you want, we can give you a cash alternative. No, she said, no, I'm not missing this. Said, she bought 20 tickets. She's won it. I'm not going to miss this chance to now go and experience something, that I probably wouldn't get the chance to do otherwise. So, they're the kind of stories that we love, Dom. They're the reason why we set up and why we made it so simple to get involved and for people to do.
Yeah, so you've been going nearly 2 years now. So that makes it probably about over 100 winners. Has anyone actually managed to convert a raffle win into a tournament win?
Not a tournament win. So Gaz is now going to be our biggest win. Our biggest win before that was a chap called Darren Smith, who cashed in the Irish Open this year. And Darren's won quite a bit with us, and he won about €4,500. So he was our biggest win before that. But no, yet to get somebody. Of course, for us, it would be fantastic because it just kind of elevates the whole story to another level, really. But yeah, Chris, we've been going just over 2 years. I mean, I suppose for anyone that doesn't know, the 3 people involved in it, Des Duffy, Tom Brady, and myself, hopefully are known by a lot of people in the poker world in the UK for APAT, and Tom set up LPPL, the Live Pub Poker League, as well. And we've pretty much been in the industry and working around it for the last 20 years. APAT, funnily enough, is celebrating 20 years next year. So when we came up with this idea, it probably was about 2.5 years ago. It took us 6 months to get it to do it right. We don't like rushing these things. We want to make sure everything is right, because what we should say is these competition sites, there's not regulation as such. They're not attached to the Gambling Commission or anything like that. It's an area within. Funny if it's pretty much the UK and Ireland is one of the few places where you can run these. They are bringing in some voluntary kind of guidelines to try and support player protection, that kind of thing. I was looking at it last week, and actually everything that they're proposing we already do. We very much from the off were quite strict on what we wanted to allow to happen. For example, we don't allow people to pay with credit cards. Just a decision we made. We just felt it wasn't appropriate to do that. So that's something which we put in place from day one, that we weren't going to allow that. And we also keep an eye on people's spend, and we'll have the conversations if we need to. We're in a fortunate position where we know a lot of customer base. So it helps us from that point of view. But the other one which we did is we said from day one we were always going to make sure there was enough money in the bank to pay whatever prizes we've got on the go. So we were never in a situation whereby you had any issues with it. And say we've been really fortunate that not just the APAT community but the wider poker community have embraced it, and we sell out most weeks, and so which is always handy when you're doing the draw. You're not having to then do redraw for numbers and things, which is always a frustrating one. But yeah. So and we will always pick a winner. So when we say we're going to do a draw on a Monday at 9 o'clock, it doesn't get extended. We don't do anything clever with it. Whatever we sell is what we sell, and somebody wins a prize, and whatever prizes we advertise get one. It's as simple as that.
Nice. Chris. Sorry, before you carry on, I've just had a message. A friend Gary, who's been helping us out with the audio. Shout out to Gary. Apparently, you're not coming out on YouTube. Your mic.
Really? Okay. Let's have a look.
Well, that's okay though. Yeah.
I mean, he hasn't said much yet. But, we were just talking before we came on about audio fuck ups, and here we are.
That's why it's always handy to have people at home that are quite happy to sit and watch live, because you can get told what's going on. Well, the good thing is what the questions Chris is asking, we can answer, so that's not a problem. So we can hear Chris. Yeah. So it just might appear a little bit weird at times. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah. It just means more people will tune into my Spotify edited down version, so they can find out what he was saying.
Yeah.
Any ideas, Chris?
Right, I've just reset myself. Hopefully that's fixed it. I'm not sure, but we'll just carry on. Hopefully.
All right. I'll wait and see if I get a message.
Okay. But where was I? So how was it decided what draws you're going to do? Like, do tours approach you and offer you a seat to raffle, or do you just think, oh, that'll be a good one, and set it up?
Well, we tend to, obviously, because we know the tours and we know the players, so we kind of know what we think players will like to play, and it's always about finding something which has got a bit of a destination, a bit of a feel to it. If it's something with obviously a big guarantee on it, that helps as well. We'll get the odd one or two tours that are really keen to for us to do something, because it's a good way for them to promote their tour as well. Obviously, if it's a big one, it can be on the site for maybe 4 weeks, 6 weeks, something like that. So of course, and it's going out on our social media. And whilst people are going on to look at other draws, they also get to see it as well. So it's a really clever way for tours to actually promote, the events that they've got going on. But we kind of know what works and what's popular. And what we found in the last 2 years of doing this is if you can make it, it's a bit of a trip. It's not just a seat. So as I say, we had 7 or 8 out at the Malta Poker Festival this week. Because it's a bit of a holiday, isn't it? It's a nice one to win. I'm going out and playing a bit of poker, but also, in a nice destination. So, we've sent. I think we've had now about 5 different winners of won Vegas trips of different levels as well. So that's been enjoyable. We sent a player out to Amsterdam to play the WPT event out there. One of our early winners. Funnily enough, I saw him in Birmingham. Leigh was there, and had a great time. So if you can find something that's got a little bit, it's a little bit more aspirational than just a standard one. But understandably, the APAT events, every week we sell out an APAT seat, and we're now doing APAT packages as well, and they sell out as well, because it's giving players that flexibility. So and again, the way we work is, if for any reason you can't go to the event, it isn't a case of use it or lose it. No, we'll find something else for you to go to, because we want you to go and play poker. You've won the prize, so it's not in our interest to not support you to go and play wherever it is that you want to play. So works well.
What gave you the idea to do it, and how hard was it to set up? Because presumably you have to have the various operators working with you.
Yeah, the operators. It's not too difficult to get them on side, and ultimately, of course, they can't really say no to you. You can give somebody cash to enter a tournament. So it's not really the end of the, but it works a lot better if actually they're on side and see it. We had a couple of different contacts. Des knew somebody who was in the industry running one of the bigger competition sites, and actually way back in the day, one of my previous commercial directors, where a company I used to work with, he left to go and work for Best of the Business, who were the guys that you'd see in airports with the fancy cars, and he's been working there ever since. So we kind of had a few different connections, and obviously you've seen these kind of competition sites grow and different people doing different things, and most of the time they're doing just a kind of a random social thing amongst friends or whatever. So we just saw the opportunity, say, well, let's give this a go. Do we think we can make this properly work? And say anyone that knows us well will know, we can be trusted to do it right and do it properly. So it was about 6 months from when we had the first conversation before we actually went live, to make sure we'd gone through all the legals, set up everything properly that needed setting up, getting the right payment provider in to ensure that was all secure and there was no issues from that point of view. So, really, touch wood, since then, we've just gone from strength to strength. Over 250 winners now, over £120,000 worth of prizes have been won, and just seeing people with smiles on their faces and going and enjoying themselves, and you get some lovely emails and things back from people just saying they went and played. A guy went and played an event at Dusk Till Dawn, just a sort of a £300 buy, and he dropped us an email to say, I wouldn't have been able to play that if I hadn't have won that, and I just wanted to say how great an experience I have and just enjoyed it. And cool. That's what it's about. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
So, and who's been the biggest look box on the site so far, and why is it Gary Strange?
There's a few people. We had a little run. The chap I mentioned earlier on, Darren Smith, had a little bit of a run, and you do get some comments in the chat on a Monday night when the draw's going, if there's possibility that he's gonna win again. But the way we work is it's all completely transparent. So if you buy tickets for a draw, you can go and see who else has bought tickets for that draw, and the timestamp and the date stamp of when they bought their tickets. So we keep all of that information live on the site until we've done the draw. So no one can ever say, so if you want to go and check at 5 to 9, a sold out draw, you can go and see the full list of numbers, names, when they bought the tickets. We've got nothing to hide with it, really. But of course, that doesn't stop the conspiracy theorists on a Monday night. Because, hey, we're in the poker industry, right? So to be honest, if they're not got something to have a moan about. But what's lovely is and one of the we put some promo videos out, and one of the ladies on there, she sums it up beautifully. She said, "What's really nice is when you see somebody you know's won." Yeah. And it's like, that's the nice thing. And that's what's lovely when somebody wins within the APAT community or the wider community, and you see people piling in on the chat going, "Oh, nice one," or tagging them in it, and because they might not be watching that live on a Monday night. That is such a nice feeling when you see you're doing that for somebody and they get a chance, and then a bit of success is great. Say like Gaz has just had in Malta, but there's plenty of people that have gone out there and won't win, but hey, you've got out there for a few quid with the tickets or whatever. So, can't really complain, can you?
Absolutely not.
Yeah. And of course, I've been the lucky winner twice. I won 2 APAT seats. Along with.
I was going to say you kept that very quiet, to be honest, Chris. That's you didn't mention that you're actually a Raffles pro, aren't you? Really? I mean,
Well.
He doesn't like to talk about his successes usually. This is very out of character.
And speaking
do you lucky dip, or have you got numbers? Have you got particular numbers that mean something to you? Or
I normally try and grab a block, and then
okay.
And but then if there's any straggling numbers, I might pick them up as well. I think the last draw I went for was the Party Poker Birmingham, and I just absolutely peppered 33 different numbers, I think, but didn't get lucky, unfortunately.
We're trying to talk Dara and Barry into writing a strategy book for next year on how to win the raffles. There's some value in there, definitely some value in there, I reckon.
Yeah, but I have actually worked it out. I think I'm actually up £40 in profit, like from 12 draws I
Oh,
played. So
superb.
yeah, so
Super. Well, I've got some friends of mine, close friends of mine, that every single week will bitch about the fact that they've never won anything and why are they supporting this when actually they never seem to win. It's like, well, it is as transparent and lucky as you can get. We use the Google random number generator to pick the numbers, and every Monday night I go through the kind of the same spiel of we'll put a number up just to confirm that we're live on the show, and so we go through everything we need to. It is as random as you're going to get, and actually, there's a little bit of a margin because it's a business at the end of the day. I'm not going to hide away from that, and openly say that's what it is. But actually, when you look at it, we crunch some numbers, and we reckon that actually, the vast majority of recreational poker players are probably better off buying raffle tickets than they would be trying to grind the satellites, because they've got tough. I mean, the world of poker has changed. I mean, in the 20 plus years that I've been involved, you see massive changes, and you've both been in around it for a while, and and I don't know whether there's less trust with the online sites at the moment. It's just become a lot tougher to beat.
Not only that, but it's saving you hours. Even if you play the satellites and win, I've qualified for a few tournaments through satellites, but it's still a 3 hour. If you've got kids and a family or whatever, and Sunday night might not be your best night. It's so much easier just to buy a couple of raffle tickets, and it has, and you've saved yourself 3 hours grinding away at the table. Yeah. So,
and that's exactly it. Life has changed for a lot of people, and it's not like when we were all getting involved in poker. And I mean, I don't know about you guys, but my first kind of involvement in poker was about 2004, I think, something like that. So I've been around it for a while.
They were still playing on riverboats when I got involved. But yeah, no, I was about the same. I think the first time I played live was 2000, right at the end of 2002. And then I think I started on Stars shortly after that. But yeah, similar sort of time.
I'll tell you, Dom, my first ever live tournament, this is a crazy, because most people, when they talk about it, they're like, oh, it was Moneymaker Effect, or it was poker, kind of live, late night poker, whatever it was. I had none of that. Back in 2004, I'd opened an account to have a bet on the Grand National in the April. Right. And then came across this poker on the site, so started playing a little bit of that. And then back in the day, I mean, for some of our people listening will go, but there were like magazines, like proper magazines you could buy.
I've still got more than enough of those. I kept them for some reason, but it's quite funny reading through them now, because the quote unquote strategy articles in them are quite funny.
So I subscribed to a few of those, and one of them was called Inside Edge.
Oh
which
yeah,
was it was a game, and that this is crazy for some of you at home, the younger generation. They used to run competitions in there which you could enter, and
did you have to send a postcard?
Yeah, it literally was that kind of thing. And I entered a competition there and got through to a free roll to play on a site called Interpoker. And this would have been around the kind of the November time of 2004. And I remember it vividly. It was a Saturday afternoon, because my mates were all down the pub watching whatever Autumn Internationals rugby were on. And I'm sat at home on dial-up broadband playing this free roll with a winner. Got a trip to the Caribbean to play in the Caribbean Poker Party, I think it was, or something like that, CPP or something, out in St. Martin, and I won it.
Wow!
And it was only probably about 10 or 15 in the free roll, something like that. So all of a sudden, I'm in November, going, well, it's the beginning of December, and I'm trying to sort out with work, going, chance of a lifetime opportunity here. And so went out to St. Martin for a week, played in a $3,000 tournament. Didn't have a clue. I'd never played live poker in our life. There was a guy at my table that was writing for the Telegraph, I think, and he'd been put into the tournament to write an article about. And funny, the photo that was in the Sunday glossy magazine a couple of weeks later. My hand is in one of the pictures. But yeah, and he was following that, and that was my first ever experience. Simon Trumper was out there, and a few of the other names that I sort of knew. And then I didn't really kind of do much. I was playing a couple of other things. I think Maxim magazine were running stuff with Victor Chana, and I went to London and played something up there because you qualified through weekly free rolls and that kind of thing. And then in those magazines, I stumbled across an APAT advert, right, which is one of the only times APAT will have ever spent any money on advertising for anyone that knows Des. He doesn't like to spend money on that. So that would have been either late 2006, maybe early 2007, and they were running a European Amateur Poker Championship in Luton, and I qualified online and went up and the kind of the rest of it APAT wise, I guess is history really. First time I ever met Des that weekend, and haven't looked back. But yeah, completely random way of. That would just never be a thing now in the world. But with magazines.
Those poker magazines, which you often used to see in the foyers of casinos and stuff, and you used to pick them up. And that was the first place I ever came across the name Barry Carter. I mean, he was editor.
Okay, yeah, it would have been. Yeah,
I think it was Poker Player magazine. It was one of them. I mean, there was a 2 or 3 year period where there were 6 or 7 poker magazines that were doing presumably pretty good business, because they seemed to be a new one coming out every week. But yeah, that was the first time I came across his name, and that would have been 2005, 2006, something like that.
Yeah, and it's amazing how things have moved on. I mean, my biggest, I guess, variance between where back then is when APAT started, you'd have people would rock up live with the little crib sheets of hand rankings on the table. And when people say, well, what's the difference in the last 20 years? I mean, there's been some great innovative changes to poker, but I guess, yeah, that's the fact that you can, when you turned up and played your first live tournament, yeah, you really were a newbie. Whereas now, somebody can turn up and play their first live tournament and played a couple of million hands online. And therefore, although you always spot them because they struggle with the chips.
Yeah.
And just handling chips. But other than that, yeah, it's such a vast difference now from where it used to be. But yeah, they'd be sat there with the hand rankings.
It was certainly where I used to play in London. All the tournaments were pot limit back in that day. Like 2000. Well, I think it's the end. I said 2002. I think it's the end of 2001. Yeah, Russell Square Casino. I don't think it's there anymore. But all of their sort of Hold'em tournaments were pot limit, which is weird. I can't remember that, outside of the World Series. I can't remember the last time I saw a pot limit Hold'em tournament.
No, it isn't a thing.
Probably APAT's held one in the last couple of years, probably, but
no. Do you know, it's probably one of the ones we haven't done, because we love to push the boundaries and innovate for our players with the mixed games. But it's one which I think we would probably avoid. It's normally one you throw in online because that's about the only other variant they've got that they can run on the software. So when you try and expand the options, so it's not just vanilla no limit Hold'em, and they go, well, we can do pot limit Hold'em, and you go, oh, go on then, yeah, we'll throw it in for good measure. And then afterwards you get again the players bitching about it, going, oh, playing this is rubbish. It's like, what's the point in playing this? So yeah, hey, what can you do?
It's still better than fixed limit Hold'em, which is just dire. But recently on the online APAT series World Championships, and I won the silver medal, by the way, like Omar Hyla.
This is just a brag episode, isn't it? Basically,
I told you he doesn't like to talk about it.
But there was 5.
Which event was that in, Chris? Do you want to?
Pot limit Omaha. So like.
There we go.
All 3 of
his heads up game though, Dom. His heads up game is not great. Yeah.
I've got a gold, silver, and bronze now. I've got the clean sweeps.
Do you know? I'll tell you, Dom. True story. He genuinely posted on a public forum, Facebook, saying he was really happy to get the silver, so he completed his set of gold, silver, and bronze. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Of course you did, Chris. Of course you did.
But it seemed like it got good numbers, even though there was a 5-card draw, which I've forgotten how tedious that game is.
Oh yeah, again, that's a perfect example of where we were playing on Grosvenor, and I'm right. Okay, for anyone that plays our World Championships live, they know it's 20, 30 events, and we pretty much cover off everything there is. We have 8 games and horse events and torse events and heteros events, and you name it, and we do it. Yeah, you really are limited what you can do online. So when you go and say, well, what have they got? And they say, well, we've got a 5-card draw, but it's no limit. You go, go on. Well, for a £5, we'll chuck that in and see what the players make of it. And to be fair, I think they quite enjoyed it for an evening, because it's something a little bit different, isn't it? Yeah. And we're seeing so much more of that now on tours. You were both up at Birmingham for the Party Poker Tour recently, and you see the side events that are on there. It's finally events seem to be understanding that you can't just keep churning out no limit hold'em tournaments and expect people to carry on buying in for those time and time again.
There's a huge appetite for mixed games or any kind of different variant, because for 25 years now all any of these people have played is hold'em, and people do get, don't get me wrong, it's a brilliant game. It's why poker is where it is today, and it's why the whole moneymaker boom happened. Texas Hold'em is a complex enough game as it is for people that are learning. If you're trying to teach someone Omaha high-low and they've never played poker, I mean, you're wasting your time. So it's a great entry drug. But when you've been playing poker for 20, 25 years, you do get a bit sick of it.
Do you feel, Dom, there's an element of people feel like not being solved? Obviously, solvers are out there now, and people spending a lot more time on the range charts and understanding what they should do in particular situations and this, that, and the other. And it's taken a bit of the fun away from playing those games. Hence the different games now that people much prefer to play.
I said this to Natalie the other week when we had her on, when we were previewing the Tennessee Hold'em. And the thing I said to her was, you might not have a clue what you're doing in that, but also know that no one else at your table has a clue what they're doing.
Yeah.
So that it's a level playing field. And I think that's huge, because of what you just said. You can sit down now, and even if people don't really know what they're doing, they can sound like they know what they're doing. And if you've never played poker before, that can be incredibly daunting. And I do think it puts people off, because we now live in that world of solvers and GTO, and as I say, even if you don't really know it, you can talk a good game. And for someone who just turns up at a casino, that must be very daunting.
There was a lad to my right in Birmingham. We played the Friday night madness, whatever game that was, the straddle option, whatever. Yeah,
so did we.
And And the lad to my right, first ever tournament. Never played before, and he made a couple of really bad. He got himself folded on the river and had given away like 80% of his stack, and you could see the vultures at the table were like, okay, we'll finish this guy. And I just said to him, like, look, you just need to understand that's the reason. He said, yeah, but if I'd have called it, I'd have been out. I said, no, I get that completely, but you just need, just be aware of that. Play your game as you want to play it. He then doubled up. He then tripled up, and he ended up making a min cash, and went away absolutely chuffed to bits that for a 60 quid comp. And you want that kind of experience from people where
that's how you reel people in.
Yeah, absolutely.
We all had that when we started off. You all have that first tournament, which I can remember my first cash. I'm sure you guys can too. You can remember it like it was yesterday. Because you suddenly get that rush of like, oh, I might be able to do something with this. This is fun. This isn't just me throwing money down the drain.
Well, that's it, Dom. It needs to be fun. It needs to be that it's the social element and the fun side. To say it's like, the guys out in Malta now. There's a whole group of them that went out together, and there's a lovely picture I posted up on my Facebook today of. Whilst this guy's playing the main event, you looked up on the stage and there's about 12 of them all railing him. Every time he looked up and he wasn't in a hand, he'd have just seen a load of his mates all staring back at him, sat there in shorts and drinking a beer. But great, because that's the next best thing, isn't it? If you can't go deep in a tournament yourself, if you can be railing somebody that's that you know to go deep. It's the whole social side of playing poker, and why it's so brilliant, you know.
And I think genuinely that's probably the biggest draw these days, because it's so much harder to be a pro. So you know, for that to be your full-time job. 20 years ago, that was an achievable goal. It really isn't now for most people. But what is achievable is what you've just said, is to go out there with a bunch of mates and have the time of your life, 2 weeks or 10 days, whatever the festival is, and come back and have had a really, really good experience.
That's the problem. I was chatting to somebody in Birmingham and said, "Oh, so where are you off to next on this?" She said, "Oh, well, I'm going to Manchester because Stars had the open event up there." And then you looked at this autumn and you went, okay, so yeah, and then you could easily go from Manchester back down to London for that event, and then you're back up to Dust Till Dawn for the WSOP circuit, then you're back down to London again for the Hendon Mob, and that's if you're not doing the 3 big ones at the beginning of December, which are outside of this country. The expenses that you must rack up to be able to do this are massive. It doesn't make it achievable. Unfortunately, things have got expensive, so we're always very wary of that with APAT when we book things. First of all, is can the venue cope with what we're likely to do numbers wise? But then it's always a case of, right, and how much is this going to cost players? What are the hotels? Is there anything else on at that time around which is going to make the hotel prices go through the roof? You try and be just understanding to the fact that it's supposed to be a recreational hobby and fun. And I know everybody has dreams and thinks, they can make a lot of money out of it, but that's ultimately what it's about. So
I completely agree.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, APAT's going to be celebrating its 20th anniversary next year. Already announced the Irish Open. Is there any other tidbits you could give us, Leigh?
Yeah, super excited. Irish Open. Obviously, you guys were there and did it for a few years now, or was it the first time you were together? That was your first one, okay.
Yeah, I know lots of people that have worked there for many, many years and have been trying to get me to go as a player for years, and I could never afford to get out there. It wasn't the right time. It's always at Easter, so got the kids.
Yeah.
And then fortunately last year I was able to go out there and work. So I could justify it because I was getting paid for doing it. It's amazing. And
it is a great setup. We did an event there a few years back, and then the last couple of years we've been tied with the Irish Poker Tour with Fintan Gavin and the crew who do a phenomenal job. They put a lot of events on during the year, but yeah, we just had the opportunity to get back in there, and we spoke to Paul and JP and said, look, we'd love to to put an event back on there. We'd nice if we could tie it into your earlier weekend where there's lots of mixed games on, because lots of our players will come over for that as well. So we're going for it, and we're going to do that. So that one's kind of been confirmed. Obviously, we've got our UK Team Championships. That'll be our first event of 2026, which will be 360 odd runners for that, sold out at Dust Till Dawn. We're just confirming the dates on that. But yeah, we've got some big plans. Obviously, the Worlds, we'll have a Europeans, we'll have a UK. We're going to be out in Malta again twice next year. I mean, the Malta event that's just finishing now, that's our 10th event in Malta. That we've done 799 runners this time round, which is the biggest one. But as I said to you both before we came on the show, that's not even been our biggest event of the year, because we did 850 odd at Ash, which is at Grand Casino in Ash, which is just on the Czechia-German border.
And I'd never heard of that before.
Big up Sasha and
fantastic.
The team there. So
Sasha and the team out there, and Sandro that run it out there, phenomenal. And we've been holding events out there for a number of years now, and they've very much taken the APAT brand and said, we want to put an APAT event on, so because they understand what it's about. And I guess for people that maybe don't know about APAT, I mean, it was kind of Des Duffy kind of came up with the idea back in 2006, and it was about giving players the chance to experience quality poker. But back then, your structures were rubbish, and there'd be there was no late reg or doing this, that, and the other. It was just horrendous to play. And he'd seen the quality poker that was on the TV, and was like, well, why can't we do that recreational players. So that was basically the essence of how it was creating a community. And say 20 years later, we've had tens of thousands of players that have played events. You know, we've had hundreds of events over the years, and and it's still to this day is. Back then it was £75 buy-in for the main event, no reg fee, that was covered by the sponsor, free buffet.
Those
But even now, 20 years on, we're still only at 140 for our main events, so it still is a full. And if you crunch the, for those geeks amongst us that will crunch the the financials over 20 years to understand inflation rates and that, it actually we're pretty much where you should be. That's the reality of it. So and we're still doing that now. So you can rock up, and it's still great. We were at Portsmouth a couple of months ago, and I popped down there on the Friday night, and you couldn't move in the card room. And basically both of the day ones, you couldn't move in the card room. And even on the Sunday when we brought day 2 back, there was a side event on. You couldn't move in the card room. Basically everybody was just was wanting to play the event. And weirdly, those little medals that Chris has now got one of each colour. I can see one on your behind you.
He doesn't like to talk about it.
People still love, the it's always great when you so for our worlds we do WCOAP bracelets as well, and no, even the guys when we do the high roller at Dustle Dawn, it's the regs that turn up at Dustle Dawn to play a sort of 350 £400 comp or whatever, and not bothered about it. And then all of a sudden you pop the bling out on the tables, the little what's
people like the hardware, don't they? They really
absolutely
do.
So it's a great little thing, and it's a nice moment. And what's great, I mean, obviously you guys met through poker, obviously, but the amount of people I've met over 20 years and friends for life now from poker, and we've had weddings, we've had unfortunately lost people along the way, and it's such an amazing community, and it's difficult to sometimes explain to people who aren't into the industry or poker or whatever, because they just see it as though it's gambling, you just degenerate gambling. But actually it's not about that. It's about community and reaching out and the social side of it.
95%, that's a conservative estimate as well. 95% of my friends for life that I've made in the last 20 years have been through poker, and that continues to be the case.
Well, it's funny, we did the APAT show that we run on a Sunday. I mean, that kicked off basically because of lockdown, as lots of things. Lots of crazy stuff happened because of lockdown. but Des and I said, well, let's just do something. And it was as much for our own sanity, to be honest, than anything else, because we couldn't obviously do events and things. So never really realised until afterwards the amount of people, even to this day, will say, you guys helped. It was just nice to hear a friendly voice, and and the community, and knowing that 3 times a week we could all get together for an hour or two and just chat shit and whatever, and you don't necessarily fully appreciate it when you're in the middle of it all, quite how good it is.
We had a pub game in Brighton. It's been running for, I would guess, over the 2 venues, probably the best part of 15 years now, and it's the same thing. We went online during lockdown, and that just knowing that Monday night game was there, or Thursday night game, whatever day it was, and then every few weeks we'd have like a mini festival at the weekend. We'd have some mixed games and stuff like that, and just knowing that was there at the end of the week was just kept you going through that madness.
We did some crazy stuff. We were with Party at the time, and they were brilliant during lockdown, and so we moved our entire worlds properly online with Party and came up with and we ended up doing $750,000 worth of guarantees, which is like mind-boggling. We don't do guarantees. It's not something APAT have ever done. We'll sometimes put them on if a venue wants to that we're partnering with, and we ended up paying out like $880,000 in prizes. I think only about like 3 or 4 things overlaid in the. It was crazy times during lockdown, wasn't it? There was some absolutely ridiculous stuff going on. We were sending world bracelets to Kazakhstan and Brazil, and I've still got 2 on my shelf because they came back from Kazakhstan because they wouldn't accept them through customs or whatever. But it was some proper crazy times.
But I think one of the big things with APAT is like the team championships, and no other operator runs these like team games. And just watching from the side, I find them like really riveting, like and entertaining. Like seeing the points come in and scoreboards update. Why do you think it's not being took on by anyone else?
I don't know, because I guess online it's always the issues around potential collusion and this, that, the other, and soft play. Obviously, when you're in a live environment, it's a lot harder for that to be a real thing. I don't. Maybe it's because just we do it so well that everybody else just goes, well, we'll leave it to those guys. I remember having a conversation with Simon Trumper once a few years back at Dusk Till Dawn. He was watching some of the tables and he couldn't understand, well, why is that guy folded ace king there? I said, well, because he's still got three of his mates in and they're in a team and they need to be at a few more exits before they'll get enough points. And also the kind of the penny drop with him, he's like, oh wow, yeah, this is good, isn't it? Because it kind of like adds a whole different dynamic to what you're doing. So we run 3 team events really a year. Our UK team event at the beginning of February, which is teams of 8, which is all about groups and communities. And hey, you never know, we might get a bad poker podcast team in at some point. That could be an option. Yeah.
Oh God, you wouldn't have to twist my arm very far.
Well, let's make it happen. So that's teams of 8, and that is basically one big MTT for the weekend, and then or anyone that's in day 2 gets points, and so basically half the prize. Three-quarters of the prize goes to the teams and a quarter goes to the individuals. So that's a fairly straight one. What we've got happening in December is our Poker Squads Live, which is teams of 4, and it's sit and goes. So on a Saturday, so it's a weekend again. It's a weekend. So you pay 1 fee. And on a Saturday, you play 3 sit and goes each, and you earn points on that. And the winner of each sit and go picks a mystery prize. So we pay out a third of the prize pool on day 1 to all of the sit and go winners. And then the top 25 teams qualify for day 2. And then everybody plays another sit and go that's qualified. So 100 players, tables of 10. And the winner from each of those sit and goes qualifies their team onto the final table. And if your squad of 4 gets more than 1 on the final table, we double your stack or we'll triple your stack. And then the final table, squads play with 1 stack and it's tag team.
Nice.
And the rest of the prize money, so the 2/3 remaining, all gets paid out on that final table. It's bonkers, great fun. And we some decent prizes on day 1. It can range from like £500, £1,000 can be the top prize that can get paid. But we'll have like 30 odd envelopes, and the Dusk Till Dawn staff really enter into it as well. They kind of get it for what it is as well. So yeah, they're happily wandering around with the envelopes. We'll just go from table to table. Once one's closed, we'll literally put all the envelopes out and you pick one, and it's great. It's great fun. So they're the 2, and then obviously we have our international team championships, which is part of our worlds, which is teams of 4 international invitational, and that plays out a number of sit and goes on day 1, and then an MTT on day 2, and they play PLO and PLO 8, and that gets proper competitive.
I've never understood why tag team events aren't more popular. Going back to what we were saying earlier about kind of trying to, it's a phrase you hear a lot, like bringing the fun back. But they're so much fun. And they're great for everyone because you get twice as many people in the building as you would normally have. Half of them are at the bar because they're not playing. And it just generates that atmosphere.
That's exactly it. By doing that with squads means all of our side games, we offer flexibility. So if you bust early in a sit and go, I mean, they're set for like 3-hour time slots, so we know when they're going to end. And the last one is actually a tag team on the Saturday night, so we halve the number of tables. But that frees up people. Then it means the venue can then run a side event. And of course, these days, you're having to work with venues to make things work for them as much as us. It's not a case of us going in and making a demand, going, well, we want to do this and this is how we want to do it. It doesn't work like that. So you basically then ensure that if you come along for an APAT weekend, there's poker to play all weekend at an affordable buy-in, and you'll never be having to hang around too long to be able to go and play something. And worst case is, yeah, you can go to the bar or whatever. You're amongst friends. I mean, crikey. During the Worlds, we even managed to fit in some mini golf one morning as well. So it's like proper, yeah. But again, it's open to whoever wants to do that. So it works. Yeah, it works really well, and it's amazing the amount of tournaments that don't and events that don't get that. that
Yeah.
they've got a big £1,000 maybe main event, and you go, well, I bust that. Okay, what can I play now? And so, well, everything's like £500 or 1,000. So even if you satellited into that, you're kind of priced out of paying anything else. You're pretty much saying to all of your satellite winners, thanks for rocking up, but yeah, there's nothing else for you to actually play.
I do think that's changing. I do think, I mean, it's taken a while and it's a slow progress, but I do think that's changing. People are looking at like the Irish Open model of what Party Poker are doing at the moment, and you do see that. And
that mini main at the Irish Open is it's
nuts.
Just brilliant. It's just brilliant because it ends up with a million plus in the prize pool. It pays out every night. So you hit the bubble, and then it pays out a number of levels as well. So pretty much you can cash in it most night. It's like, I guess it's like the deep stacks in Vegas, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's worked really well.
It's just a fantastic structure, fantastic idea. And like I say, I think you'll see more of that coming through, and at the slightly lower buy-in festivals as well. Because I think finally the operators have realised that it's about having fun. It's about creating that experience. People go away for the weekend or a long weekend or 5 days or whatever, and not many people are going to come back from that in profit. But if most people come back from that saying, I had a fucking good time, they're going to come back next year.
Yeah. And what we're seeing with the live scene, I don't know how you guys feel, but it's just going through the roof. Again, Malta Poker Festival, the numbers this week have been insane. We saw what they did at the Irish Open in East. They had to put tables quickly into that other hall on the side to get more people in. We've seen our numbers through the roof. I think Grosvenor. I mean, in the UK, it's just insane. Yeah. Dusk Till Dawn are putting on 2 or 3 million guaranteed every year, and they're hitting the numbers. The Grosvenor are hitting all of the numbers. 888 have got their tour alongside what Grosvenor are doing in the National Poker League. Party are back on the scene with what have been 5 amazing events this year, and going back into venues that haven't had poker for years. I mean, the Genting at Resorts World hadn't had poker since lockdown, and they just rocked up and went, all right, we can make this work. It's really exciting times. I think 2026 is going to be super, super cool for the UK scene, let alone whatever else is going to go on around the rest of the world.
Yeah, agreed.
But speaking of a venue which hasn't had poker for a long time, the former Aspers Casino in Northampton has found out to be one of the biggest cannabis factories ever in Northamptonshire. What did you make of this stuff?
Chris, your segues are getting better every week. You're becoming really
good. I mean, Chris, do you want to? Are you able to give us the top 3 cannabis factories in Northamptonshire? When you say it's it's the biggest, I'm assuming that there's a number of them.
I've been to casinos that are still operational, and they feel like they're the biggest cannabis factories in the country.
To be fair, I should say, when Chris did mention that on the chat earlier on, I did just go back with pot limit, which is so apologies for that.
Do you know what? I saw that, and it's only now that I've got the joke. So perfect.
Jesus Christ!
Thank you very much.
Oh dear, I may not be quick, but I get there in the end. That was a strange one. I mean, how long's that casino been empty? Presumably quite a long time, because that looked. Years. Well, but not a couple of weeks, a couple of years, because that looked like a pretty big operation that was going on in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was not small time. There was some serious organised crime behind that, I believe.
Some of them look like 20-foot plants.
I mean, how did nobody spot it sooner? That's what I find. Phenomenal.
I mean, the smell, apart from anything, walking past that place must have been. Honestly, if anyone's watching this or listening and they haven't seen it, Google it, because it is quite something.
And also making the news this week, the Sprags have welcomed a baby boy into the world.
Yay!
I believe it was £9 1 ounces, which is a monster. So,
oof! And she's not a big girl either, is she? Sorry, Marley.
No wonder she seemed miserable when she was on my table at the Irish Open.
Seriously though, I mean, that has to be like the poker feel-good story of the year. It's fantastic, and everyone's made up.
I like it because we also I still don't feel in the UK we have enough poker personalities. We do seem to be lacking those kind of people, and there's lots of kind of wannabes and people that are trying to make it, and it's tough, and trying to be a streamer and anything else is tough work to do anything.
I don't know what you could be possibly talking about.
Yeah. but it is really it's hard work, but we do lack the real the kind of celebrity feel of somebody that actually has kind of made it. And
doesn't come
happen
naturally to Brits, to be honest. That kind of go get them attitude, but yeah. I made up for them, absolutely made up. I saw one wag on Twitter christened the baby Sproggy, which I thought was very good.
Beautiful. I like it. Yeah.
So, have we got any pieces of advice to the Sprags and adventure into parenthood?
I did wonder. I obviously failed in all my attempts to become a poker player. I pretty much failed in my attempt to become a poker reporter. I'm thinking about setting up a poker creche now so that they can both play, because I've got 5 kids. I've got a lot of experience. So if they do want a childminder, I'm pretty good at that. So
I do know within the APAT community, we've got lots of couples with kids or whatever, and it always does seem to be it's my weekend for poker.
I was going to say,
that seems to be the way it works.
I mean, you've got kids, haven't you, Chris? I don't know about you, Lee, but
no.
Your world changes, and with them both being kind of active poker players, I'd quite like to be a fly on the wall and see what
but I'm running so well at the moment.
Yeah. You've played the last 2 weekends. It's my turn. Yeah. But as I say, if they need someone to be a childminder, I'm sure. Sure.
To be honest, I'm sure that there's room at the Crack Den at the Irish Open to just to put a crack. I mean, that seems a perfectly suitable venue to look after children. Yeah.
I can just see it now. Babies in car seats on the shuffleboards.
Fantastic.
But my top piece of advice. I know it's a baby boy, so get a bit of wet wipe. Put it over Winky when you're changing a nappy. Stops you getting splashback from the baby. It's just like
that's very good advice, I think.
Yeah. Practical advice.
Yeah, but one of Spraggy's good friends, Fintan Hand, has lost his sponsorship deal with PokerStars. Are we surprised by this news?
Well, I was looking at it earlier. I've done very little research this week. I hold my hands up. It has been half term. I've been taxiing my kids between West Wales and South England all week. I've done about 1,300 miles this week, so I haven't had much time to kind of do a lot of research. And this came out just this afternoon, I believe, this announcement. But from what I can gather, reading like his Twitter post, it was his decision. So it's not like he's been booted off. I think he's decided to leave, and I don't know why. And obviously, he's decided that's what's best for him. It's a kind of shame.
It is. But is it not just the same as it is? Everything has got a kind of a shelf life. Whether it's actually the provider that's saying, we've got what we can out of you, and it's not going to, or the individual goes, do you know what? Just this, because it is tough. I think it's easy. People think, oh, these guys that get these deals, they're so fortunate, they're so lucky. It's bloody hard work.
Yeah.
Not just to get one of those deals, but to then tick all the boxes to keep getting it renewed. And you have to have huge respect for the likes of a Dara and a Lapin, for example, with what they've done, whereby they keep managing to keep it fresh and keep it going. It's so tough to do.
Just the energy required so that you don't burn out. I mean, maximum respect for anyone. I mean, I've never been a sponsored pro or an ambassador, but I've worked in media organisations closely enough to see them at work and see what is expected of them, and not just what's expected of them, what's demanded of them, because it's contracted. A lot of this stuff they have to do so many of these events or whatever, however many social media posts a day and generate so many interactions and whatnot. It's really full on. And like you say, people look at the headline figures or whatever and go, oh, you lucky bastards. These people work their asses off. They really
and again, it isn't like it was 15, 20 years ago where you'd get a sponsorship deal and it would be, well, okay, you're just the face and you're the name, and it's like great, and that all works. Nowadays, the analytics that go into, right, well, are you doing this? Are you ticking that boxes? Are you bringing this number of people? Are you getting the right reach with your posts and when you're doing this and whatever? Yeah, I mean, it's just a complete numbers game, and you understand them, because at the end of the day, those that are signing the checks, they want to make sure that they're getting their pound of flesh and they're getting a return for what they're looking to spend their marketing budget or whatever it might be on. It isn't just a case, oh, we'll give these guys a deal. I suppose like the Hendon Mob guys, the original 4 back in the day. Yeah, we'll just get a deal because you're playing a bit of poker on the tour and you're doing this and you're quite successful, so that works for us. It's not really how it works anymore.
No. So how do you explain Johnny Vegas at GG Poker then?
They've had some really random ones in recent years. I mean, we were with them for just over a year, and they were really good to us during that time, and had a lot of fun in trying to get some. But it's just going to tick the right boxes. They did a deal with True Geordie, one of the kind of the football bloggers, whatever. And again, it can just be sometimes the right face for the right price can bring some interest. And they've never done anything like that with a completely random person in the UK. And yeah, Johnny Vegas is a liked character and a liked name. I can understand why people. What it's done is because the amount of people that have mentioned it to me.
This is it.
So it's done I reckon it's done exactly what they wanted to do. People just gone Johnny Vegas with GG, and now you look and he's bloody everywhere.
This is what I found. This is what I found out when I was doing social media for a poker operator, and I never did this, but I know it goes on when you make social media posts and you do things like, what card would you like to see next? And you do a flop and you the hands or which card, and you deliberately get something wrong in your post, because that will generate 5 times as much interaction with people than if you do a well-researched post with the right. I can't think who it is, Dom, but it's something to do with shirts, and they specifically dropped the R. Right. Yeah.
And I can't think who it was, but it was absolutely done on purpose for that.
And
exactly.
It goes on all the time. And whenever you see one of these big poker companies and they post something, you think, oh, you fucking idiots, how could you have done that? Well, they're not fucking idiots, because you're now on Facebook, type in, and then someone's replying to you and someone's replying to you, and then you have fallen into that trap, and they're generating all the feedback that they wanted.
Luckily, poker Twitter's not never interested in any of that kind of stuff, are they? They don't. They're not really bothered. Yeah, they don't tend not to take the bait. Yeah,
no,
no.
So, just before we leave this week, Dom, do you want to take us through the last few names of the?
Yeah, absolutely.
To be honest, this is the bit I turned up for, right? This is it.
I'm not going to do them all this week, because we've got Barry Carter coming on next week.
King of the memes, yeah.
And then I believe we're going to try and get Tower on the week after, aren't we?
Yes, I haven't had a chance to catch him yet, but that's the plan.
Yeah. We'll try to get him on, and either get him to help us do the draw, or if we can get Jamie Walden on, maybe we could get Jamie Walden on during that show. I don't know, but if we do, so I'm going to do half the remaining names now, and we'll do half next week, and then we'll do the draw the week after.
I saw some of the other week were from an APAT tournament. I remember names. Yeah.
Well, that was because it started off with Jamie Walden started the World Series of Names. We wanted to come up with something else, so we went for the APAT of names. And I didn't want to tread on his patch, and I've spoken to him, and he's cool with it. So we went for the APAT of names. So this is the bad APAT of names. And yeah, as you said, my first port of call was to actually go through all the old APAT tournaments on the Hendon Mob and just find the best names I could. And as we said last week, at some point, Chris had the bright idea of just typing random rude words into Hendermob, and that proved far more successful.
We knew you employed him for some reason. That was it. Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
For the low-hanging fruit. Okay, so this week, I think I've got 6 or 7 names here. We've got Kurt Cowshitz, Miguel Lobon,
nice,
Gaylord Communal. He's French, so I think it's probably Gaylord Communal, but we'll call him Gaylord Communal for comedy purposes. Ernest Hatmaker, which I love. I could just
that can't be real. That can't be real.
Ernest Hatmaker sounds like a Dickens character. Like
somebody that can't be. Yeah. He's off for some ale with Martin Chuzzlewit. Yeah. Right.
So yeah, Ernest Hatmaker, Dusty Belcher, Manfred Sprangler, and Randy Ho.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
So those are your 6 or 7. That's your 7 for this week. We'll do some more next week, and then we'll put our heads together, Chris. We'll draw up the best 32, and then we're going to get anyone that follows us to vote on it. Hopefully we'll have a few more followers after the raffle this week.
I feel like I'm going to be Simon Cowell in the X Factor with all the judges trying to work out which ones we're going to pick. So.
Yeah.
So that's about us done for this week. Please, if you want to win £50 of site credit for Poker Raffles, like and subscribe on the YouTube, follow the Facebook page.
Yes, I'll be putting out some posts on Twitter and Instagram for that. So if you haven't seen them yet, then do look them up. How long have you got, Chris? You've got till next weekend, yeah?
Yeah, so closing date will be for Saturday the 8th of November, I think it's off the top of my head, and that'll be at 10 p.m. And then we having an earlier show next week with Barry Carter. We'll be on live from 3 p.m. But
yeah, because funnily enough, he's busy on Sunday evenings.
Yeah. This is a problem we're finding trying to get poker players on the show.
Yeah, it might not have been the best planning, but.
So yeah, that's all it is for this week. Please like and subscribe, follow, kiss a granny, do whatever you need to do. And
thank you, Leigh, for coming on.
Oh, thanks for inviting me, guys. Absolute pleasure. Love